You're listening to Honey, We Made a Disney podcast. Two friends since first grade, now dads reliving the Disney movies we grew up on with our own kids. I'm JB Waggoner.
And I'm Eddie Ferguson, and today we pulled the wrong lever to review The Emperor's New Groove. But before that, JB, how are you all doing?
Eddie, did you get the photos I sent you?
I now have. I've downloaded them all now.
You now have them. Well, just so happened that I decided to go on a little adventure myself by myself. I found myself in Nashville.
All by myself.
I found myself in Nashville, and I was doing some work up there, and thought that my family were going to all go to the zoo at some point that day. And I thought, hey, I'll surprise them over lunch because I had an hour to kill, and I didn't want to go trying to keep myself from going to Wendy's or something like that. So call them up, find out, you know what? They didn't go after all. They were stuck at home because it was just going to be too rainy, storms and stuff like that. And I had a thought. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll just go to the zoo by myself. We have our own passes. We can go whenever we want to. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try to go by myself. And I'm a man of the animals, Eddie. I love just getting out there in nature with all of them, petting them as much as possible.
You're an animal lover.
Animal lover. I'm a lover at heart. All animals, especially dogs, especially your dogs, Eddie, that you've had. I never had any problems with them growing up or sitting on top of desks when you brought them in and scared me. So I was walking around. I was like, you know what I need to do right now? I need to share this moment with Eddie. And so I texted you a bunch of selfies with me and different monkeys and animals and
You sent me four
images and just like living my best life. But the problem is you didn't know you got them until right before we started recording. And so it ruined the moment.
So what's funny is I'm like thinking back on this and I just see you. You know what song is playing in my head as I see you walking through the zoo all by yourself? Is the I'm so lonely, so lonely.
Yep, that song. It was either that song or Celine Dion, or whoever does the all by myself. I think it's Celine Dion.
I love these photos because it is your expression is kind of throwback classic. Our friendship. This is happening. We did a series of short videos during our adventure in Mexico, where it was just us. It was just us standing in front of something really cool, going, "This is happening," and we always just kind of like lingered with our mouths open. And that is, I feel like the shot of each and every one of these is, yep. I want to like press the live version and you saying, "This is happening."
Mm-hmm. That's
but
my thoughts.
The problem is, I lost downloading because immediately after this, you did send us one of the cutest videos we've ever seen in our lives of your daughter embracing one of our favorites. Bluey.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just quite adorable.
It is amazing. She just got it. I knew that you'd want to know that too, but I'm glad
you distracted us.
Yep.
We have actually been on a bit of a, dare I say, like Bluey fast. Like our kids had become so obsessed with Bluey that we've actually, it's been a little over 2 months.
Wow.
Because it was just like, oh, this is really bad. So we're like, let's pause it. And we knew a new season was going to be coming here in August. So we're like, all right, we'll take a break until then. Yeah, so
that was a good call. I think we're going to be hitting that moment here pretty soon. But we just got the stuffy. We just got the, as my son calls it, the stuffy animal. My daughter also got some shirts and some little action figures. So we probably shouldn't go on a fast quite yet, but we're going to be getting there pretty soon. So
we still played with our Bluey toys that you got our kids.
Oh yeah,
and so that's kind of
our toys.
The playing toys. We have like you got all the little figurines, And so we're like, okay, you can't watch Bluey, but you can recreate your favorite Bluey episodes with your Bluey toys. So that's what we've been doing, is just using our imaginations.
Using our imaginations.
I feel like that's what Blue would want us to do.
That's what he would. But Blue would also want us to do is stop talking about ourselves and come here to talk about some Disney news, some new things that happened. And there was a lot this week, even though we had a massive week last week with all the Comic-Con stuff. And so now we have even more, some more trailers, one of which that we forgot to talk about last time in all the melee of stuff, which was National Treasure is getting a Disney Plus show. Eddie, how excited are you about this?
I am so excited that Sarah was just like, we need to rewatch National Treasure. So we actually tonight put the kids to bed a little early and watched like the first 30 minutes of the first National Treasure. And we're sitting there watching it going, we forgot how good this is. Like, just the basic premise is just so good, so fantastic. And it just, the trailer for the TV show, it feels like, I think they're going to capture that. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm so cautiously optimistic about everything nowadays with these reinventions. But, and I mean, some of these other things that we'll talk about here in a second. But yeah, I'm excited. No Nicolas Cage, from what we can tell.
He's got to make at least a cameo, just like a moment. He has to be in there for like even just a moment. They did bring back Riley. Riley is going to be the character who's going to be back in it. So I'm interested to see what he plays, like a wise old sage or something like that. Now that it's been 18 years or something since the last one came out, I am interested. I'm also a little leery. It's going to be super basic, and I'm on the fence. I'm excited to watch the first one, but it's with a lot of caution.
It is with a lot of caution. It looks like they are kind of going, all the main characters are younger kids.
Yep.
And I hope this is not like the tween version.
Ooh, not the preteen, super preteen Disney. This would have been a Disney Channel. I hope
that's what it feels like, is like, oh, was this in development for Disney Channel and they just like brought it over to Plus? I hope not. So I'm holding my breath. We'll see how it goes. I still can't believe they didn't make a third National Treasure with the whole Book of Secrets thing. And I hope they don't spoil that little thing, just because I want to hold out with hope that one day that third National Treasure will
do an actual third film. That makes sense.
The people want it. The people want it.
You know what else the people wanted? Was more Cars stuff for their kids to watch, and specifically
for sure.
So Eddie, give us a little taste of what they're about to drop here in early September, I believe it is.
Yeah, it's a part of the Disney Plus Day that's coming up. We didn't know we needed a Disney Plus Day, but here it is. This is called Cars on the Road. The basic premise is apparently Mater has a sister who's getting married out east. And so he and Lightning McQueen embark on this road trip across country. I think, and the trailer gives us, and it's episodic, and so the trailer kind of gives us these different episodes, and what it feels like is each episode is almost a different genre of film, was my first impression. And that they get kind of a horror feel or a terror feel and different things like that across the way. But what stood out to me above everything else was the Haunted Mansion reference. And I was curious how excited y'all were in your household
I don't know that my wife has seen it yet, this trailer.
Okay.
But I did see a little moment of some haunting, because it's a very stylized, tons of different little genres and stuff in here.
Original voice cast is back. So I'm excited. Have you guys watched the Mater tales?
Oh yeah, we watched a ton of those.
And like on repeat, right? And those are really good. those are really entertaining to not just my kids, but also to me. I think they're funny. I enjoy them.
Yeah, we watched a lot of those. I would definitely enjoy something new, so this is going to be fun. And about 10 to 11 minutes each, so it's a little bit more substantial than the Mater Tales, which were like a couple minutes at most.
Like 5.
Yeah,
at
but
most.
this is kind of a trend. Like we've got the I Am Groot series as well that's happening here soon. I think they definitely hit on something when they first launched Disney Plus back in 2020 or 2019 with all of the Forky Asked a Question, kind of laid the groundwork for a little bit of this.
That's a good point. Yeah, I think you're totally right with that one. You also had one of our favorites is Olaf Presents.
Oh, that was genius.
If you have not seen Olaf's Presents, you are missing out. We had some people visiting and the kids wanted to watch it and the adults like got all sucked in. They were like, what is this? I didn't know this existed. I'm like, oh, your life will be forever changed. This is some of the most clever kind of meta Disney references ever. So good.
Yep. Final thing that we trailer that we got recently was for another Andor trailer. More storyline, more sound bites, more characters that we got introduced to or reintroduced back to. You've got your hands up. You're positioning yourself ready to give me your TED Talk on this, Eddie.
Here's the thing. I get my hopes up. I watched this trailer and I got so stinking excited. It looks so good. But then immediately I start having this inner conversation. I'm like, Eddie, don't do it. Eddie, don't get excited about this. This will only break your heart. Don't open yourself. No, don't do it, Eddie. Don't open yourself up. Kathleen Kennedy will break your heart all over again. She will destroy you. So yes, I'm really excited. And I gotta say, like, I think the moment that to bring back Forrest Whitaker's character,
Saw Gerrera, bring back Saw Gerrera.
That was like, man, he is one of my favorite actors. I think he is phenomenal in everything he touches. So yeah, I got so excited about this.
This felt like a movie trailer, like a actual Star Wars movie trailer. The spectacle, the scene where you get to be back in the Senate for a little bit, but you're outside in Coruscant. There were so many big moments and there's so many big visuals that made you feel like, oh, this doesn't feel like a show. This feels like something much bigger.
Well, and one of the things that was fun about Rogue One was that you were watching what you thought was kind of one of the initial steps of the rebellion. This really felt like, oh, we get to watch the birth of the rebellion. We get to go back and watch it from and so it's like, oh, okay, now I'm getting excited. Now I'm getting really excited because man, Rogue One is probably my favorite of the new Star Wars content. Easily of my favorite of the movies. Easily, hands down, no questions. Mandalorian is so good, but so is Rogue One. I mean, to me, those are the two things where it's like, give me more of those things. Give me more of those things. And that's where I felt like, is Andor going to give me that? Is it going to give me more of Rogue One, but in Mandalorian form? Oh, don't do it, Eddie. Don't get excited. Don't do it. Don't get excited.
If I'm going to rank the best moments of like after the prequels and after the original trilogy, so anything that's come out since 2015, since Disney took over, there's nothing quite like going back for the first Star Wars movie since 2005. So that 10-year gap, like coming back in after seeing that. So seeing The Force Awakens, that was just a moment in of itself. Like we're back, we're starting on this new adventure. So I was just on cloud 9, on cloud 13,
Yeah.
whatever for it. So it's hard to top that. The next two favorite moments for me have to be Grogu's up there when you get first introduced to Grogu.
Sure.
When the episode in Boba Fett where you see Luke training Grogu.
Sure.
That whole everything inside of that. But then also just all of Rogue One. Like you're talking about complete thing, I would probably have to put Rogue One right up there with almost anything else that we've seen 2015 on.
Yeah, the third act of Rogue One is so good. The whole time they're on that kind of tropical island planet, so good. And I mean, the pacing of that, and it felt like classic Star Wars. It felt like A New Hope. It had some Empire moments. It had some Return of the Jedi moments. Stealing the plans, like the literal stealing of the plans. That whole moment was just so good. So I don't want to get my hopes up. Why are we talking about this? Getting my hopes up.
Eddie, it's the same crew, same creative, from the people who brought you Rogue One, Tony Gilroy. I'm keeping the hope alive while also kind of protecting it a little bit. But in here, the trailer we saw Gerrera. He's coming back, so we're getting more of his backstory. His name is online is called Two Tubes, according to Wikipedia. One of the not bounty, but some of the Saw Gerrera's like right hand man that we saw in there. Mon Mothma is back again. She's one of the few female leaders in the rebellion. She was also in Return of the Jedi. Like her character was in Return of the Jedi, but she also was in Rogue One, etc. But yeah, the actual beginning of the rebellion. That's what we're gonna get a taste of.
So we are gonna get 12 episodes in the first season, and they've already planned a second season of 12 episodes. So we're gonna get 24 of these in total, which is good. Like, I'm tired of this 6 episode stuff. Plus, I don't know, this makes me excited. Also makes me like apprehensive. The premiere is going to be a 3 episode premiere. They're just going to drop 3 episodes right off the bat.
I was also excited about this until I realized that what that did was it also pushed back the release date 3 weeks, right? Which was really sad.
And I think the release date.
So the release date is September 21st. It was originally supposed to be August 31st. So we're talking 3 week pushback just so they can get 3 episodes.
I don't think it. I need to double check this, but I'm pretty sure they've pushed it back to be a part of this Disney Plus Day that they're creating.
I don't know that they coincide. Disney Plus Day is September 8th. So I'm not sure.
This is September 21st.
It could be that they got some bad reviews from releasing Miss Marvel while overlapping with Obi-Wan, and people kind of chose which one they were going to watch. That's my hypothesis, but also last minute trying to decide, hey, we're actually going to do 3 episodes instead of 1. Like, maybe we need to give ourselves a little bit more time. So
we'll see. I felt like the Obi-Wan series, when I think they released a ton early because they realized it was too slow.
That could be it.
And they just wanted to grab people sooner. And that makes me a little bit nervous about this. Like, do they see something similar in this? And that's why they're pushing out a whole bunch really quick because the first few aren't that great.
Eddie, we can't think like that. We got to have positive emotions.
No, I have to, because they keep getting my hopes so stinking high and then dash them upon the rocks of some distant planet. Yes, I have to guard myself. Okay?
But then they raise those rocks. Like in Obi-Wan, they literally raise the rocks to the sky and throw them at Vader. So last little bit, right before we get into today's episode, next week we're going to do a full episode on Light and Magic, about ILM, the founding of ILM. All the episodes are out now on Disney Plus. So Eddie, what's a reason, if someone hasn't already watched this or started to get into this, tell our listeners why they should listen to this, other than the fact that they can then follow along with us next week.
My life was forever changed when I watched the appendix to Lord of the Rings. All three. You know what I'm talking about? You got the extended cut DVDs, and you had the film was spread across 2 DVDs, and then it came with 2 extra that dove behind the scenes on how they did this. Not since that moment have I been so moved and just riveted by model making and do-it-yourself special effects. Like, this is every movie nerd's dream. And I think you get, in many ways, with Ed Catmull's book, kind of like the history of Pixar and creativity. This is kind of the special effects in movies, their history, here is how this developed. And it's really fantastic. I feel like it doesn't hold any punches. They spend a lot of time talking about Star Wars. So if you're at all a slightest Star Wars fan, so much of this is not just the story of visual effects and that, but also the story of Star Wars. And then they go beyond that. Yeah. And there's some riveting characters. I know this is a docu-series, but there are some of these people that I'm like, you are just a fun character. Like, there's this one guy, and I'm sure we'll bring it up when we review it next week, but I'm just like, I want a docu-series about that guy's life. It's just like, he just has these throwaway comments, and I'm like, I want to know more about that guy.
Well, you gave him a very good full-on pitch right here. I appreciate that. I'm just going to give you listeners one thing to, if you only do one thing, make it through the first episode until you learn about the design for the Millennium Falcon, where the inspiration came from. If you can get to that moment, you will be hooked and you will continue on.
I paused it and was just like, what?
Me too. Mm-hmm. Yep. It's insane. I can't believe the Mac, because that's all I'm going to say. Make it through to that. I think you will be hooked before then, but you for sure, it'll turn a corner. We go, this is information we just none of us ever knew before. This is.
And the man who did it, I feel like we will have like a good 10-minute rant just on Joe Johnston.
Yes, we will. So with that, we're here to finally talk about what we've really come here to talk about. And that is the next movie in our series, in the 2000s. We're still in the 2000s, but this is the last film. This is the last 2000 film, Eddie. Next week, we're going to be jumping in, or in 2 weeks, I guess, we're jumping into 2001. So let's end this on with a bang, with a loud note, Eddie. We're going to talk about The Emperor's New Groove.
Cue the Disney sound effect.
Okay, IMDb for Emperor's New Groove. This is the description. If you've never seen it, if you've been living under a rock. Emperor Kuzco is slightly into oh no, I messed that up. Let me try this. I am very sorry. Let me try this again. I don't know what I was reading. Emperor Kuzco is turned into a llama by his ex-administrator, Yzma, and must now regain his throne with the help of Pacha, the gentle llama herder. I don't know if she's administrator. That doesn't seem quite. She's like into witchcraft and stuff like that. I don't know why.
Yeah, but she's like the viceroy. She's the emperor's counselor. Every council, emperor
just this administrator seems like she's like a pencil pusher, and that's definitely not anything of what she's done. Eddie, this feels like that movie that if you talk to any millennial about, hey, Emperor's New Groove, what do you think? I feel like there's just a resounding Yes, this isn't like the top of the mountain, like the first thing people say when they say Disney, great Disney films, but it's like a not cult classic. I don't know what the right term is for it, but there's like we all loved that, right?
Cult classic might get close to it.
It's a better term for it.
I would venture to guess, if you would ask any 90s millennial, what is the most underrated Disney animated film? 9 times out of 10, they'd go, The Emperor's New Groove. The Emperor's New Groove.
It's a sneaky classic film. But while being different.
There it is. I think this, what was the last animated film that we reviewed? Tarzan.
Fantasia 2000, Dinosaur, all of those.
Dinosaur is such an odd one. I always forget that it's floating in there. So hand-drawn animation. Let's be that specific.
Tarzan. I'm not
Tarzan.
Fantasia.
This is even Tarzan. Tarzan. Everybody knows I'm the biggest, Tarzan fan.
You have five gummy worms right here.
It still was trying to kind of be in both worlds. It was trying to do something different, but still be the Disney Renaissance Broadway musical style Disney animated film, right?
Yep.
It wasn't, but it was still trying to be, and that's part of the reason why I like it. This is Disney going, chuck all that out the window. We're going to do something totally different.
Totally different theme, feel. Even though
this initiates. Oh, sorry.
Even though they tried, and maybe we'll get into this later, they tried to make this like the rest of them.
Yeah.
But it went off the rails, and it turned into this completely separate thing. But anyways.
And that's part of like what I enjoy. A lot of people are down on the post-Renaissance era. If we're getting super nerdy here on Disney animation, you've got your Renaissance era, which is Little Mermaid to Tarzan, your post-Renaissance era, which is Emperor's New Groove, all the way to whatever came out like right before Wreck-It Ralph. And then with Wreck-It Ralph onward, you have what people are calling like the Disney revival era with Frozen.
Eddie,
Moana,
there's a revival in the streets.
Yes. So many people just dog on the post-Renaissance era. But I think the first several films in the post-Renaissance era are really good, and I really like. And I enjoy that Disney was trying to do something new and different and creative. And this one in particular, more than anything, it's like they animated an improvisational comedy set at Second City. It's just like, okay, let's just throw some great improv characters, actors, David Spade, John Goodman, and let's just let them improvise this kind of story. We'll give them a brief structure, and then we'll just animate around them. And even your, 2 villain characters as well. I mean, there's obviously so much just kind of playing off of that. It just brings a new feel to this. It's just totally different. And I remember going and seeing this in theaters. Do you remember that cheap movie theater that used to be in Avon?
Yep.
That was like a few months later and you could go watch it for just like a couple of bucks. This is where I saw this. And I remember like, I was really excited to finally go see it and was just blown away. Like, that is hilarious. I've never seen a Disney animated film like this. Yeah. And I feel like so many of our generation had that reaction.
Well, the casting alone, not John Goodman is the prototypical voice of that good character. Like that Pacha is basically the straight character throughout the entire thing that you kind of expect from a Disney film of like the hero kind of thing.
But you need the straight character to make the other character work.
Yes, because the other 3 major characters in this film with David Spade as Cusco, We got Krunk and Yzma. Because those three people are so very different like literal characters, like of the types of voices that they do in all of this, like it was necessary. But what David Spade coming is like, hey, let's have him as a king, but he's like a more modern style voicing of a king, not this emperor like gravitas. It's like this little punk kid that you just want to kind of punch in the face the whole time. How different and how Yzma still was kind of more of the purple, literally the purple, the bad guy in it. But she just like whatever that person did with the voice made it so unique, and the whole pull the lever, wrong lever. Why do we even have that lever? Like it still had that playfulness, but for sure the not unsung hero, because everybody's favorite character in this film is Krunk. It's not even close. Like
Not
as
even
much
close.
as we love all the people, Krunk gives this so much heart and warmth. In fact, it made a spinoff of this, of Krunk's New Groove, which I don't know if we're gonna watch it on here. I can't remember if it's on our list or not. So it's just his character just like makes this thing. I still, the first thing I think of when I think of Emperor's New Groove is when he's taking the sack down to the water and he's doing the whole like he's got his own theme song music of like
how many of us have done that in our own lives?
I've done it way too many times.
So many times. No, this movie is what it is because you have this incredible duo on the villain side, right? That you have this over the top, just melodramatic villain.
Mm-hmm. She's like old Hollywood style.
Well, and the actress herself, Eartha Kitt, is old Hollywood. Like she's one of the original, just like Broadway divas that came over into early Hollywood. Like impeccable casting. We both were talking about how we read the Vulture article on the oral history of this movie. The studio heads wanted Barbara Streisand to play this part, and the directors really preferred Eartha Kitt and pushed for her to get the part. And I'm so glad because there's, like you said, there's just so many these little delivery lines in this movie that are just brilliant and impeccable. The way that she just lands these lines in such a melodramatic way. But just like you have the Emperor and you need the straight guy against him, that's what you have in Kronk. And Kronk is with Patrick Wahlberg. I don't even know the adjectives to describe how much I love this character. I mean, it's just, it's just brilliant. Like the creation of this character is fantastic.
I couldn't stop just writing down all of his little one-liners that we all remember. But when she said, "I practically raised him," he said, "Seems like you should have turned out better." Or like, "Feel the power, Krunk." Oh, ooh, I feel it.
I feel it.
Did you see the sky today? Talk about blue. It's just like fascination with dinner and little things like that.
The wilderness. In my defense, your poisons all look alike. You might want to think about relabeling all of them.
I know you fully appreciated his wilderness with all the chipmunks speaking to the chipmunks.
The squeak, squeak, squeaker, squeak, squeaking. You know, that whole like sequence. I can't tell you how many times like we will jokingly pull that up. You know, we're out hiking or whatever, and there's a squirrel. Of course, we're going to try and speak squirrel because this is what you do now that you have seen this movie. Yeah. I love the illogical moments of this movie. You know, that that he is talking, you know, he is the narrator. He's the unreliable narrator, the Emperor is. and that we get those moments where he pauses the film and comes in and talks to us. Those little moments are, it just, that's that kind of that tone and that different approach to this that is so intriguing to me and makes this so much fun.
Well, and the big turn is it's not just he's talking to himself and narrating this, but then he talks back to himself and says, "Hey man, quit it."
Yes.
And just stops the narrator. Like, I don't know that I've seen another film do that level of just like, yo, no, this really does suck right now. Like, let's stop it. And he kind of stops that whole side narration, which kind of, I just haven't seen another film do that kind of a thing before.
We can't go too much further from talking about Yzma and just how much I love Eartha Kitt's delivery. She has me at that sequence when she says, and I pulled up the quote to make sure that I get it right. How shall I do it? Oh, I know. I'll turn him into a flea, a harmless little flea. And then I'll put that flea in a box, and then I'll put that box inside of another box. And then I'll mail that box to myself. And when it arrives, I'll smash it with a hammer. And then she's like, it's changes, or to save on postage. I lose it every time. But the way that she just delivers that whole sequence and the animation, I love the animation style in this movie, is just brilliant. It is so fantastic. It just sucks you in.
It's a playful film. It's not a film that takes itself too seriously. It enjoys, it pushes on the art a lot while still kind of leading you through. I will say, though, the plot of this film is not great. It is
paper thin.
Paper thin. The quote unquote transformation of Cusco in this film, it doesn't build it up very well. It's like you get kind of a fake out, like, oh, he's really nice, but then he's not. What is it? Pacha kind of is kind to him, puts a blanket on him, and that's like the overarching thing that changes him or something. It's that for. I know we've been praising it a lot, and there's a lot to be praised about this film. The plot of this film and that kind of character development isn't it? That's not the reason that you are loving and remembering this film fondly.
You love this film. You remember this film for all of its one-liners.
Yep.
Like anybody who brings up how great this movie is, they immediately go into a string of all of their favorite quotes. Like, why do we even have that lever? Or Yzma. Every time I get on a roller coaster, I quote this movie and go, Yzma, put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air. And there's somebody else, especially if it's at Disney, there's somebody else who's like, oh, I love Emperor's New Groove. Yeah. Well, he ain't getting any deader. Back to work. I mean, so many of these things. Okay. We watched this with Lewis like 3 weeks ago because we were having a family movie night, and I was just like, what animated films are coming up that the kids could watch? And so we watched this. We have watched this, no lie, half a dozen times since then.
Oh wow.
And Lewis now is quoting this movie. At times a little disrespectful because his favorite line is no touchy. No touchy. So, every time. And then the funniest one that he does is he'll go, right. And the first time he did that, I fell on the ground laughing, but also was like so proud as a father all at the same time. Like my son is now quoting Disney movies to me. This is great.
So speaking of this film and what it could have been, like how it is different. The reason this film is so different, you got to go look up the Vulture article, An Oral History of Disney, The Emperor's New Groove. It's a very interesting genesis of this film. There are many different iterations of this topic and this concept. There was at one point, Sting was supposed to be the main he was supposed to do for what's his name? Phil Collins did
what Phil Collins did for Tarzan. Yeah.
Like, hey, let's do the same thing. Let's have a big music star do this entire film. And it just wasn't working. They brought in a test audience and they were like, no, this sucks. This isn't working. They had to go back to the drawing board on it. It was originally supposed to be called The Kingdom of the Sun. And it had a whole nother character arc and storyline to it. There was supposed to be like a Prince and the Pauper switcheroo scenario between Pacha and the Emperor. And as they're kind of getting to the end of it, the reason they actually still made this film was because they had already committed with McDonald's to do a Happy Meal toy, which was insane. That's what, like, they had all of these commitments, and so they had to release something, and they just like threw it all out and started over.
That blows my mind. Yeah. That the only reason we have this movie is because they had signed a Happy Meal toy deal with McDonald's. What?
It's insane. It's insane. The things we do for art.
And this helps. I have always been like dumbfounded by the song at the end of this movie. Like, it's such a, just kind of like light-footed, fun, happy film. And then you get this somber ballad at the end. The tones don't match whatsoever to me.
Because that's the only song that Sting performed that stayed. He had written the opening song around Couscous Groove.
But Tom Jones records it, which is a brilliant choice.
Yep. But that ending film that's the only thing that remains. And there's something else that's crazier about Sting. Evidently, they had to really convince him to do this. And someone decided, hey, I got an idea. I think it was his wife was a part of the making of it. Let's do a documentary about the making of the music with Sting, and that will keep him like energized to stay involved in it and to see it through to the end. Already you should know that that's a bad idea if you have to like motivate someone to be in there. And they made a documentary about it, and it's just like, look at the chaos of this film and look at everything that happened.
Well, it's so bad, like it has been struck from the record. Like Disney doesn't allow it to be distributed in any way. You have to find like bootleg copies on torrent sites and stuff to be able to watch it.
I don't even know where you can even find a copy of that film, but I really want to see it. It's called The Sweatbox. No
matter whatever they had to go through to somehow produce this wacky, crazy, beautiful film, I'm totally fine with, because I am so happy with the end result. I have to highlight here my favorite sequence in this film has got to be the diner scene. Like the diner scene, yeah. Every time I sit down and watch this movie, that's when it kind of tilts over from this is enjoyable to this is genius. This is just brilliant.
Which parts, like the menus or the coming in through the kitchen? And
Kronk taking over for the kitchen. And then you've got Cusco and Yzma going back and forth and changing their orders. And then sitting down and the menu's going up and then down, up and then down. And they just keep missing each other. Like, just the timing, the comedic timing in this whole movie is, masterclass. But that particular sequence, I go back and just watch that little sequence and just enjoy that of like, I love this movie. This is just so fantastic.
Some final thoughts in here. I'm just going to, some of the quotes that I didn't have time to throw in here. But who's in my chair? Oh, I know. Good Kronk. You should have thought of that before you became peasants. That was another great one. I'm sorry, but you've thrown off the Emperor's Groove, and then throws him out the window.
I'm sorry. Beware of the groove.
Number 3, look what I can do. Oh, what is that? No. He has a point here. Another random just one note my wife told me about this one is that Pacha's wife in this film is the first noticeably pregnant woman in an animated Disney film before.
Really?
Yeah. So first time you'd seen a woman who was like pregnant, like every other time it was like you get the montage that then goes through. If I think about Lady and the Tramp is one of them where she was pregnant for part of it, but you don't ever get to like just see her being pregnant.
I know that I shouldn't enjoy the sequence, but it is also hysterical when they like have the wives approved for him, and he just like rattles off. Let me guess, a great personality, and it's just like
great
the
personality.
Worst. Great personality. All of them are just the worst possible thing, but it's such a great little sequence.
So Eddie, this is gonna be the hard part. What are we going to rate this film?
Just so you know, I own a pair of Cusco as a llama socks.
So that'd be an indicator of what you're choosing for this?
And I have been known to go to rather dressed up occasions wearing my Cusco socks. Because life is too serious for you to also take your socks seriously.
Do you want me to go first?
I'm going to let you go first because I'm kind of floating here.
Give you a soft landing or you can go higher or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've talked a lot about great things. We've talked about the story or the one-liners and the fun, and it is another level of storytelling of all the little details that they've put in this, of comedic timing especially. One thing I forgot to put in there is the fact that they fall through a little plot hole, a story hole, to then get to the end. Like, how did you get here before me?
We don't know.
It's that was just like, we're just gonna put him here, but it was like an actual decision. So I think the mastery of that is what kind of rates this a little bit higher for me, but I'm still a little sad by the fact, like, you can tell that we got great characters. Let's just have them do random stuff for an entire film. There wasn't a lot of build up or good, like, there was not a great build up to the characters having that kind of change of heart and change of, the story arc. So for that, I'm going to dock it a little bit, but I'm still going to keep it a 4 for me.
I was floating between like 4.5. I think I'm going to go right with you and give it a solid 4.
You're not going to fight for that extra half a fruit snack, Eddie? You got the socks.
Well, maybe you'll convince me.
Do you need me to go to 3.5 so then you can go to a 4 and a 4.5?
No, what you said is spot on. If you could have just given me a little bit more plot development,
if they had another year to work on this, I can only imagine. Now, maybe we would have lost a lot of that fun that they were just like, screw it, we need to get a movie done. That probably would have happened if they had more time to kind of take it and fix it. But that's where it suffered, was the plot.
Yeah, because there's definitely some slow moments. There's some moments where it just kind of dips. And I think they know it, because I feel like every time I feel like it's dipping, it's slowing down a little bit, is one of those moments where Cusco pauses the film and then comes in and says something where I'm like, oh, you know that this plot slows down here. It just, okay. I don't know. So, maybe I'm convincing myself that I do want to give it a 4.5. I'm changing it. 4.5.
4.5 for Eddie.
4.5.
We got to disagree on stuff or else it's not very fun.
This is one of the most rewatchable of any Disney movie.
Yes.
And it is one, so you can sit down and rewatch it, or you can just turn it on and have it playing in the background and rewatch it. Like, it just works on so many levels.
It might be a top 5 bag packing, box packing, whatever that thing. Like when you're about to go on a trip and you need something on, luggage packing. This is this is top 5 luggage packing.
I usually turn on a Sorkin just because I need the dialogue. So
this has the dialogue for you, Eddie.
This has the dialogue. I see the comparison. Yeah.
Well, with that, your life has been forever changed by another episode of Honey, We Made a Disney Podcast.
Be sure to subscribe to wherever you listen to your other favorite podcast. And while you're there, please give us a review and share it with your best friend.
You can also check us out at honeywemade.com, where you can see our full movie list as we continue to go through all of the Disney movies, every single one of them that came out, major releases from 1988 to 2005, other than a couple that we just said for sure no. But next week, we're going to, like we said, take a little bit of a break from our normal programming so we can do a full comprehensive review of the Disney Plus series, Light and Magic.
Thank you for listening, and remember, no touchy.